All right, let's dive in. Today, we're talking about something pretty powerful. The idea that real communication, the kind that truly leads and makes an impact, isn't so much about the words you choose, it's about the presence you bring into a room. And we're going to explore this through the lens of an amazing coach, Tanya G. Johnson, and see how this one shift in thinking can change, well, pretty much everything. But first, let me ask you something. Just imagine for a second, you're standing in front of a whole group of people. You have something really important you need to share, but you can't use words. You don't speak their language. How on earth do you make that connection? It sounds tough, right? Well, that exact problem is where this whole story kicks off. You see, for Tanya Johnson, this wasn't just some thought experiment. Her entire philosophy, her whole approach to leadership, was actually born from a real-life experience where she literally could not speak the language. It's a pretty incredible origin story. So, let's start right there. Section 1, a lesson without words. We're going back to the very beginning to see how this whole idea came to be. So Tanya's journey really began with a huge challenge. The summer before she went to university, she took a trip to Mexico. But here's the catch. She didn't know a word of Spanish. This forced her to find other ways to connect with people, on a completely human level. It was all about listening, about presence, not about what she was saying. And that experience was such a spark that it eventually led her to move all the way from California to Barcelona in 1989. And from there, she built this incredible career that's now spanned more than 20 years. And that lesson she learned way back when, connecting without any words, well, that became the absolute core of her philosophy. It all comes down to the why behind your message. She calls it the passion that connects. Now, when Tanya talks about passion, she's not talking about some fuzzy, abstract feeling. For her, it's a tool. It's a functional part of communication. Think of it like the engine inside you that's driving your confidence, your enthusiasm. When you really tap into that passion, your message just naturally becomes magnetic. It's what separates someone who's just talking at people from someone who is truly connecting with them. And this quote, this just nails it. It's so simple, but so deep. You can't really expect to connect with your audience out there until you've first connected with your own passion for your topic right here, inside yourself. That internal connection is what makes you persuasive on the outside. Okay, so if passion is the why, then what's the how? How do you actually do this? That brings us to our next section. This is where we get into her practical method for building impact. And the key is, it all happens before you even say a single word. This is so crucial. This idea totally reframes what we think of as leadership or communication. It's not a performance you switch on. It's an internal state, something you have to cultivate. It's about who you are being in the room, not just what you're saying. And here's her framework for doing it. It's a really clear 4-step process. First, it starts with the body, with your breath. Super simple. Second, grounding yourself. That feeling of being stable, centered, connected to where you are. Then, once you've got the physical part, you move to the mental, setting a clear intention. What do you want to achieve? And finally, step 4 is just practice. Doing it over and over until that sense of presence becomes second nature. And this isn't just theory. She has real practical tools to help her clients make this happen. Of course, there's personalized one-on-one coaching and group workshops, but one of the most powerful tools she uses is video analysis. It lets you actually see yourself the way an audience sees you. And for a lot of people, that's a total game changer. So what's the result of all this? What happens when you put the passion and the presence together? Well, that brings us to the real-world impact. We're talking about the tangible shift from what she calls interference to having genuine influence. You can really see the difference here. On one side, you've got the all-too-familiar costs of poor communication, right? Things get messy, you waste time and money, messages get lost. But on the other side, when communication is effective, when it's grounded in this kind of presence, you get clarity, you get respect, you get a real measurable boost in productivity. The difference is night and day. And look, this method has been proven time and time again. We're talking about more than 2 decades of practice. Tanya has put these principles to work with executives and their teams at huge global companies like Accenture and Novartis, and at top-tier schools like ISE Business School. This stuff is battle-tested. And here's the real takeaway. Better communication, it isn't just some soft skill. It hits the bottom line, hard. When your teams are actually working together better, when it's easier to sell your ideas and win over clients, the result is that you save a ton of time and money. It's that direct. So, after all that, the philosophy, the method, the impact, let's bring it all back home. Let's make this about you and about the messages that you need to get across. This last quote really just wraps it all up in a nutshell. It's a simple formula, isn't it? When we communicate better, when we're transparent, when we show up with presence and passion, things just work. Everything works better. So I'm going to leave you with this to think about. What's the most important message you need to share right now? It could be at work, with a client, maybe even in your personal life. What's the core passion you need to connect with first before you even think about saying a single word?